Tat Talk Web is back. I kind of wanted to compose my thoughts today. I wanted to not have a knee jerk reaction like a lot of people had on Sundays, and I'm sure I'm going to get passionate at some point today. It did not go well. One thing I want to give kudos really quick to the defense. You could say, well, they gave up 24 points. Dylan Simpson had 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, that wasn't until the fourth quarter, pretty much. They were getting stop after stop after stop. The defense had 3, count them, 1, 2, 3 turnovers, and we got nothing as far as points on that. Absolutely jack shit. So the defense did their damn job. But the offense, man, I don't know if they're getting – I feel like they're just getting worse. I feel like at this point last year, Milroe was starting to progress under Tommy Rees, and Tommy Rees was formatting the game plans for who we were playing. I don't feel like it's that way. I think Sheridan is just like, well, we're going to throw this piece of poop at the wall and see if something sticks. Like we're going to go out there and not change it up, and we got a quarterback who's struggling, which may I add, Milroe's our guy. We don't need the backup coming in there. Milroe's banged up because people keep saying, well, let's run the damn ball. Hey, genius, we ran the ball 33 times for 64 yards Saturday. That's 1.9 yards a carry. So we're not running the ball good either. But certain things we're seeing, what was open all day until the middle of the fourth quarter, all day was underneath between 5 to 15 yards all day. And every one of them we threw, we got. You knew Milroe was struggling. You knew he was struggling making passes. And you get inside the 5 and you're having him throw fade passes. Milroe's probably thrown fade passes his whole career 3 times. Like, could you at least try a run? Could you try a run pass option? Like, I don't know how hard it is. Like, I remember one time we were inside the 15, had a great run down that way, getting the yards, and then we try some bullshit end around. Like, what are we doing? I don't get it. Like, it feels like Dave Rader is our offensive coordinator. Like, Dave, it feels like it's 2006, and Darby up the middle for no gain. Darby up the middle for no gain. Darby up the middle again for no gain. Like, gosh damn. Like, please game plan for who we're playing. Now, I know there's a problem with lack of discipline. We know that. We see that, okay? The players are working on that. But please try to game plan for what's going on. And the players can only do what is called for them to do. So that comes down to the offensive coordinator. Like, can we get this shit together? Like, I get it. I get it, Sheridan. I'm doing a bro favor for DeBoer because you've been fired by him in the past and didn't stay long. I get it. You probably won't be there next year. You probably shouldn't be there next year. Because I'm seeing literally the offense going backwards. It's getting worse. You got a quarterback in 3 games, he's had 5 INTs. So that has to be some on him and a lot on play calling. Because it's absolutely frustrating. Now, we're going to get it together. We're going to, hey, kudos to Kane Womack and that defense. Loved it. Loved the effort. Loved putting a hat on a hat. Loved every bit of it. Now, you can say they broke down at the end and this, that, and the other. Great. But that was at the end of the game when you've asked a team to stay out there for innumerable amounts of time and they're just getting wore out because the offense needs to come up and make first downs. Now, yes, I get it. Some of the blame is on Milroe because he's not hitting. I mean, one time, Ryan Williams was open. Nobody was even 15 yards from him, and he just sailed it over his head. Obviously he was struggling, but if you know he's struggling, make shorter passes. Make smaller runs. Like, please, it's just frustrating, And let's not give up on the team. Let's keep supporting them, keep rooting for them. Hey, we're Tide fans till we die, period. That's the way it is. But it is frustrating. It also felt like Milroe in his head before any of the plays, he's like, well, I'm going to Ryan Williams. I mean, I think we threw to him like 30 times, 25, 30 times. We can't do that. We've got Bernard. We've got Prentice. We've got K-Law. All these guys. We got to figure it out and quick. It definitely feels different from last year because I feel like Milroe is absolutely going backwards. I think a lot of that's due to coaching. I wish right now we could just go back and get Tommy Rees. Like, Like, Sheridan is not the answer. I'm telling you, DeBoer's going to have to make a tough decision. I don't think he can keep Kane Womack. This is a super, 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 super talented team, and they look below average. I mean, it's pretty damn bad. And Tennessee's not a great team. Bama and Tennessee right now are not great teams. We're good. We're not great. And it was absolutely evident yesterday the way, Tennessee, when you have 3 INTs, 3 turnovers, you should not be winning the game. But with that, we can't even come up with 3 points off a turnover. Like, that's you can't win ball games like that. Our time of possession, we had good time of possession. It was 33 minutes. That's over half the game. And we can't come up with nothing better than 17 points. Now we had 2 turnovers ourselves. Because, we would have been like 24-24, if you count the one inside the 5 that Milroe threw. But, we got to do better, guys. We got to figure out what's going on. And like I said, it is a lack of discipline. We know that the coaches like Saban are gone. These kids are making money. They're sometimes more at podcasts or doing this or the next NIL deal. My feeling is, and I have no proof of this, I do feel like 75% of that team wants to win and do right, and I feel like there's another percentage of the team, small, super small, that's cancer, straight up cancer. And DeBoer will get that weeded out in time. Now, I'm going to beat this horse to death this year. Remember, Kirby Smart's first year was 7-6. His second year wasn't much better. I think it was like 8-4 or like 9-4, something like that. So it takes time. He's got to get his guys in there and his stuff. And remember, gentlemen and ladies watching this, when he came in there, we had Grubbs. Grubbs is one of the best offensive coordinators in the country. We had the best offensive line coach in the country. What happened? Like pretty much 3 weeks before the season starts, they tuck tail and run back to Seattle to go for Seattle Seahawks. I'm not hating if that's where you're happy and that's your Shangri-La. Go back there. Cool. But we were left in the lurch, and we got Danny Sheridan. And we got whatever offensive line coach we got, and it shows. And that's fine. Now, some of the blame, yes, goes to the players, and some of it goes to the coaching. But this is just, it blows my mind that we're literally going backwards. We're getting worse. We're not getting better. We have not gotten out of the mode of the second half of the Georgia game. It's not, don't get me wrong. I felt the defense made strides forward. And I want to see that Saturday. I want to see that carry forward. And I feel like I said, I give them a B+, maybe an A-. I feel like they did a great job. And they executed all game. But you can't ask a defense, hey, stand on the field 60 minutes and make every single stop. It doesn't matter. You have to be able to move the ball. You have to be able to score points. You have to be able to not shoot yourself in the foot, like penalties. Like K-Law, granted, yes, there was like 5 or 6 plays that absolutely were horrible calls by the officials of the Tennessee game. They were horrible. Now, there's a lot of horrible calls across college football this year. But there was like 4 or 5 plays, but we shouldn't even leave it up to the refs. That's the problem. We're 4th and like 7 and trying to go for it. And K-Law, yes, somebody hit him in the face in front of the ref, and the ref didn't do nothing, and you hit him back. Well, that cost us, that went from 4th and 7 to 4th and 22. Stuff like that. Now, granted, these refs, as far as calling tons of penalties, they did on both sides. But there was a lot of holding calls they didn't call against Bama. There was a ton of fighting and infighting and all that stuff they called on us and not them. But at the end of the day, you can't let the refs dictate any game. And like I said, there was five calls they submitted to the NCAA that were bad calls, and they, this week that could have changed the game. Now, like I said, going back again, you shouldn't let refs dictate win or loss on that column, period. Do I know what the answer is? Man, I wish I did. I do know we're not running the ball good. I do know the play calling at a lot of different times, especially inside the 20, is very, very suspect. It's very, very, very mind-numbing. It makes you want to scratch your head like, what are we doing? Like, all the plays that got us there, you want to deviate so far and do something like a fade or some bullshit end around. It just doesn't make sense. And not only that, the offensive line, you got to get some blocks. You got to open up some holes for these running backs. You can't be like, well, running backs are shit. Open a hole. Like, you got to open a hole for them. Now, granted, Tennessee in my opinion, my humble opinion, has probably one of the top 12 defenses in the country. You can say, no, they're not. They're Tennessee. No, they really do. They have one of the better defensive lines in the country. Their defensive line, you probably could stack it up and pierce that defensive end. You can probably stack them up close to Georgia and Texas. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, 100% you can. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Yes, you can. So with that being said, we got to figure out something else. Something has got to work. We did not protect Milroe great. I feel like Sheridan's trying to run Milroe to death. I think Milroe's hurt. I don't think he's injured. I think he's banged up. And I think it shows. I think it shows when he tries to run. I think it shows on this. But the thing that bothers me more than anything is when you look at his game, he does better when he creates. When Milroe can create and do an RPO out of his direction, not, hey, we're going to do a quarterback design run. They're so slow. They don't develop well, and Milroe gets pounded. And it's frustrating at this point. We'll get it together. DeBoer's the guy. Remember, DeBoer's the guy. Do we have the right coaches in place? No. And it's very evident, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You can vehemently see that. But remember, got to give it time. Got to let him get his guys in there. Nick Saban even said this on Saturday. 26 players transferred out of the program. Now, were they marquee players? Maybe 2 or 3. 4 max. But we got to have a little patience. We got to have a little love. We got to understand that we're not in the era that we were for 20 years. We're in a new era. Yes, not to say we shouldn't be critical, not to say we shouldn't dissect these things, but it's not the end of the world. Anyway, I got to get to work. Caleb, my guest host last time, will be on later in the week to break this more down, and then we'll break down the top 25, and also we're going to break down the keys for Saturday's game against Missouri. Anyway, Tide Talk Web is out.